Today, we're going to talk about the minimum wage. The U.S. federal minimum wage is currently $7.25 an hour, and Democrats are talking about raising it up to $10.10 an hour. The idea is that with low-wage workers earning more per hour, low-income families will get a boost and poverty will fall. What's not to like? Well, many economists are actually pretty skeptical about the minimum wage. If we think about poverty as a disease to be treated, the minimum wage treats a lot of people who aren't sick, misses treating a lot of people who are sick, and could have some very serious side effects. First, how does the minimum wage treat people who don't need it? It turns out that around 60% of the people who would see an increase in the minimum wage are the second or even third earners in families whose income is way above the poverty line. Only about 10 or 20% of the workers who would benefit from an increase in the minimum wage are in families that are below the poverty line. What's going on is that half of minimum wage workers are below age 24. Many of them are just middle-class teenagers, not struggling breadwinners. Second, how does the minimum wage miss people who are in poverty? It turns out that in 2010, 58% of those below the poverty line had no work hours whatsoever. So raising the minimum wage is not going to affect more than half of the poor people in the United States. Third, what are these side effects? Well, imagine a worker who's producing $8 worth of sellable economic output for their employer every hour. But then the minimum wage goes up to $10 an hour. Now that employer is effectively losing $2 for every hour that the worker works. Economists worry that employers will respond by cutting low-skilled jobs. Economists have done many studies to try to see if this actually happens. The best estimates seem to indicate that for every 10% increase in the minimum wage, the number of low-skilled jobs drops by about 1 to 3%. Going from $7.25 an hour to $10.10 is about a 40% increase in the minimum wage. So we could expect anywhere from about a 4 to 12% decrease in the number of low-skilled jobs. Now, supporters of the minimum wage will point out that there are also studies showing that it has no effect on jobs. Skeptics reply that while the minimum wage may not eliminate many jobs up front, the main effect may be to slow the creation of future low-skilled jobs. Minimum wage supporters point out that after adjusting for inflation, the minimum wage was up around $10 back in the mid-1960s, when the job market was booming. The Congressional Budget Office recently did a study showing that an increase in the minimum wage up to about $10.10 an hour would eliminate about 500,000 jobs, but it would also move about 1 million families out of poverty. So there you have it. The minimum wage is complicated and economists don't agree on it. But at least now you have some facts to use the next time you get into an argument about it.
Who is that Econguy?
I'm Patrick Walsh. I'm an associate professor of economics at St. Michael's College near Burlington, Vermont.